As hard as it is to believe, the worst serial killer in Toledo history has a parole hearing next week and could soon be returned to the streets of Toledo. Anthony Cook was involved in 9 deaths beginning in 1980. Tonight at 11, we'll look back at that history, but also dig into his parole chances. Lead investigator Brian Duggar joins us with a preview. Brian, good to see you. Well, as always, you do such great work. Now, first of all, how is it even possible a serial killer could be paroled?
Yeah, the interesting thing about this, Dan, back in his last killing was September of 1981. Now, Ohio did not reinstate the death penalty until October of 1981. So it was almost exactly a month before. If it would have been a month later, he would have been eligible for the death penalty and he probably would have been killed long ago. And also at that time, they did not have life with no chance of parole. So every 10 years, he's basically up for parole.
So this is standard operating procedure. This doesn't mean he's on the verge of getting out. I mean, any parole board is going to go, yeah, goodbye.
Yeah, you would think so, but the whole reason I even got involved in this story is that one of the family members was having a conversation with the parole board because they met with the family and they met with the prosecutor. And during that conversation with the parole board, they told him, it's like, look, this isn't a slam dunk. The guy is 75 years old. We have to give him a serious hearing. And it really kind of rattled this family member because he said, we always assumed he would just be in prison forever. And after I had this conversation with the guy, it's like, this could be a possibility that this guy could actually get out.
Now, his brother Nathaniel was given parole just a few years ago, and he's out and behaving himself. But it was always established that Anthony was the worst of the two.
Yeah, I mean, Nathaniel, so there was a deal made back in 1998 between Prosecutor Bates and, family members. And the deal was, look, you tell us all the people that you killed, we'll let Nathaniel out. But Anthony's going to have to remain in prison. And so he did 20 years and he got out. And he's still living in Toledo today. He's apparently abiding by all the laws and hasn't caused any problems. But yeah, I mean, he was just as bad as Anthony early on. Though you're right, we do believe that Anthony, he was the older brother, Nathaniel looked up to him and he kind of wanted to please him and went along with a lot of stuff.
What can you tell us about the killings? I know they were brutal, a lot of murder and rape.
Yeah, yeah. So we know that Anthony was in prison back in the 1970s, and at that point he kind of gained a hatred of white people because he said that he was abused by white guards when he was in prison. So all of the people that were attacked were white, and they were also, for the most part, young couples. So he would stalk them. I mean, he was a night stalker. He would go up to the cars where they were parked or walking down the street and attack them. And you're right, in just about every case, he raped the woman. And there were many other rapes that did not involve murder.
I was in Toledo at the time, back in the 80s, and a lot of fear was out there. Don't go parking, which is a common thing for couples. Be very careful about your surroundings because this guy was out. Whoever was out there was still stalking people.
Yeah, and you know what, Dan? It wasn't like this happened over a 5-year period. This happened over about a 17-month period.
Yeah.
So these murders were
scary.
happening 1 month right after another.
Okay, so tonight at 11 o'clock on WTOL 11, you've got a story on that. But we also have further on the WTOL Plus.
Yeah, and we've spent a lot of time on this case because, look, we don't want this guy to get out. And so we put a lot of effort into the story. So at WTOL 11 Plus and our YouTube channel, we actually put together about an hour-long program. It goes back to the 2 parts that we did back in 2020, but we have a new part that we're debuting tonight, and that's all part of this. And then Melissa Andrews and myself, we did an extended interview, conversation, and we are also going to show some clips that are not part of that package and talk about them.
We're out of time, but Anthony Cook's parole hearing is next week?
December 5th, his parole hearing will be.
Next Thursday. Okay.
Next Thursday.
Brian Duggar, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Interesting story coming up tonight at 11 o'clock on WTOL 11.